So the copying a Word document to Canvas page. So let's say you've created, as I've been doing lately, a very accessible Word document, and you want to take that and make it into a Canvas page. So for instance, I have a worksheet here, and this worksheet contains some text, and there's headings in the worksheet. There's a list. There's the equations that are actually mixed in with the text, so they're not necessarily display equations. And there's also images, which if I were to click on the format picture, I've put alt text in for the image. So this is, as far as I can tell, a fully accessible worksheet that if I converted this to an EPUB, everything, when I was testing it, everything read, the images read, descriptions. I have a hyperlink in here that worked. So this has a good output file other than Word. If I do it as a PDF, it will lose everything, but I have the EPUB as a option, and it works great. And EPUB, I show how to do EPUB in another video. But what if you wanted to put this as a Canvas page? So the purpose of this video is to show how to do it, not necessarily to convince you to do that, because when you're thinking about the time it takes and all the things that you might have to do, I want you to consider that when you're prepping for your class, because you do have the option, since this is a fully accessible source file, that the EPUB works, or you could work with your Accessibility Center on something that if there's another output file needed. So do you have to make it as a Canvas page? No, but if you really wanted to, here's a way to go ahead and do that. Now, just before I get into how to do that, there are 4 things I need to address here. The text, that's the easiest part. Text is text. It just converts over. That's usually fine. Headings, sometimes they convert over to Canvas with a copy paste. Sometimes they don't. You just have to double check. Images don't copy over at all. You lose everything. Equations, unless you do what I'm going to do with LaTeX, they will not copy at all. You will lose everything. So the first thing I'm going to actually address is how to get the equations to show up the way you want them to. I want to demonstrate what would happen if I just did a Control A on my document, Control C, meaning I'm just going to copy it, and if I did that straight into Canvas, see what would happen. So here I am in my Canvas page, and I'm now going to hit Control V and just paste everything that came in. Now, if we look at what it pasted, what you'll notice is that none of the math equations came in. They just disappeared. They're gone. I don't even have any kind of a box for it. It looks like my headings came in okay. It looks like my list came in okay, although they numbered them instead of letters now. But all the math is gone, and this is a very typical problem. So let's see how we can rectify that. So going back to my Word document, I'm now going to use the toggle tech feature in MathType. So I do have to have MathType, and I have MathType, and there's a toggle tech button. If you were to just hit that button, nothing happens. If you select an equation, it will toggle it. I'm going to hit the button now. I selected an equation. It toggled it into LaTeX code with the dollar signs, which is typically what designates math in LaTeX. And so that's how it would render the math. If I toggle it back, I get the equation looking back of 5x minus x squared. You can also select the equation and hit Alt / like I've shown in other videos, and there we have our LaTeX, and we can convert it back. To convert all of the equations in MathType at once, you can just do that Control A and hit Alt / or the toggle tech button. And this actually, I want to demonstrate how this 2-page document with a lot of little equations mixed in. I'm not sure exactly how many separate inline equations I have, but you'll see what it's doing. It's got the circle, and my sidebar here was just going up and down, and really kind of freaking out there. So I have some images, and what I want to point out is a couple things. When it toggled the tech, even though I created all of these equations using MathType, some of them on the tech side now have a / bracket, and some have the dollar sign. What happens when you go to copy this in Canvas, I'll actually just demonstrate it so you can see. So I'm going to do now again a Control A and Control C to copy it all. And I'm going to hit the Control V to paste everything. And at least now I have some equations. It's in tech, but I still have them. And I'm going to now hit save for the Canvas page. So what we see, it saved all the LaTeX code. It didn't actually render it as the actual equations like I want to see. The headings look good, the numbering is fine, but it's not rendering my equations. So to fix that, we're going to go back to the Word document. And here's where it gets a little tricky. Now, if I want to keep this source file to be able to use for printout and be able to toggle back to the rendered equations that look pretty to be able to print out, I need to not mess with this file. So this is the importance of having a source file, a good source file, which has, with your math type and everything, that you can send to somebody to convert for you if that's necessary, or to keep on file for yourself. Because now this source file is very good, and I can actually manipulate it as needed for whatever output I need. But I don't want to mess up this source file. So what I'm going to do is, you could do this in just a text app or something like that. You don't need Word, but I'm going to use Microsoft Word. Actually, I think you do need Word because you need to keep the headings. So actually, I think I would suggest keeping it in Word. And whether you save the new Word file or not is up to you. So I'm going to open a new Word file. And now what I'm going to do is paste everything that I had from before. So it pasted everything. And I want to note that on my images here, I did put alt text. And it is keeping the alt text when I paste it like this. And so there's two ways that the MathJax plugin in Canvas will read equations. One of them is if you want it as a display, you would put double dollar signs on either end of the equation. Or wherever you see the backslash bracket, you would put a backslash parentheses. And for myself, I would prefer the backslash parentheses because I have a lot of inline equations I want mixed in with the paragraph. This way it reads as an actual story in the paragraph, and rather than getting it chopped up with a bunch of random display equations. And I'll show you what I mean in the Canvas page. But I want to actually change everything to this backslash parentheses. So we can do that. I'm going to go back to just the single dollar sign by recognizing that all of these dollar signs here surround our equations. And so I can take those dollar signs and I can actually do this backslash parentheses. This is the part that's tedious. This is the part that if you have a really big file, this is the part where the support from the college comes in because of the workload might be very large depending on the file. And this one is not too bad, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a Control F, and I'm going to replace the dollar signs. So actually my replace is up here, so I'm going to hit that button. So I'm going to find what? I'm going to find dollar signs. Let's get this in the... So I'm going to find dollar signs, and I'm going to replace it with, I always forget the order, it's backslash and then parentheses. And I do realize my left parentheses, right parentheses are going to be different, but I'm going to go ahead and just replace them all with left parentheses because that at least does half of them. And then replace all. And it said it made 32 replacements. Okay, I'm going to close that out and check out what happened. So now we see that I have the alt or the backslash parentheses, left parentheses, but that left parentheses is also on the right side. That's not going to work, so I'm going to change that to the right. And I'm going to just do that on all my equations that I see. This is the part that I mean is very tedious. I think we all just need to communicate about what is the best way to do this. This is just giving you a way, maybe not the most efficient right now, but it's another way to go ahead and approach this. So I think I've replaced all of the left parentheses with right parentheses where it needed to be. It took about 2 minutes. And so now I'm going to do that Control A and Control C. And this is something that would possibly be worth saving in the future, so I might save this as well, but separately as a separate source file. So I'm going to hit Control V, paste everything, And there are still some of the square brackets in there. I'm going to save it and just see what happens with everything. So it looks like there's some spacing issues. I would go in and fix that a bit because this seems very, very close together. The equations look like, I think most of them are all set. My integral looks good. I did miss a couple. We can see here in the middle. I still have a couple of things missed. I think I accidentally put a space in there, so I'd have to fix that. And all of these, oh, so the brackets made it display equations. So that's what happened with those. And so if I want to fix those, I just go back and change the brackets to parentheses, and I'll do that right now. The way I'm going to change those brackets is because it's a left and then a bracket, and then a left and a right bracket, I'm going to do that replace option again. And I'm going to do backslash left bracket, and then I'm going to replace that with backslash right bracket, replace all, there was 9, and then backslash right bracket, I'm going to replace with backslash right parentheses and replace all, there's also 9, that makes sense. And I'm now going to do the Control A, Control C, and I did a Control V and pasted it into my page, and now I'm going to save it. And it now looks like all of my equations are in line, not as display, the way I would like. And the next thing I would just go. So that was the end of part 1. To see how to do all the rest of the formatting and images and headings for this, make sure to watch part 2 of this video.